Welcome to Unmuzzled Chat. How you doing? Hope you're having a terrific day. Oh my gosh, buckle up. We have some breaking news, a lot of information to go through here today. Some really powerful clips, important information to go over. It's important we keep an open mind. Now, some may say we're going to step in it, but to those, I challenge them. Have you not learned anything with the pandemic? I mean, you name it. It's at this point insane to blindly trust anything and run on any talking point without doing our due diligence and our research. But today I want to dive into a topic that no one's really talking about, and so many are afraid to talk about, because when they do, they quickly find themselves alone on an island somewhere. And my question is why that is. Why? To me, that's a huge red flag. Oh, there's a topic we can't touch? We're not supposed to talk about? Naturally, what that says to me is that, there's something to that. If there's a big machine fighting out against that type of speak or on those individuals or just anything, it's like, what are you trying to hide? With that, let my intentions be clear. I simply want to see less suffering in the world. I simply want to see less suffering right here in America. I simply want to see things operate as they were designed. Less government, more freedom, individual liberty, justice. I want to see things operate of the people, by the people, and for the people. Simple as that. So with that being said, whatever it takes to get to just that. The fact that so many are being censored, even threatened over doing research on this, exposing truths, asking questions, that's very telling. Once again, have we learned nothing? The pandemic was horrific, but I believe I'm starting to see what Billy was talking about on the other episode. So he told me that the pandemic was nothing compared to what's happening now. And as horrific as the pandemic was, as I'm actually doing my due diligence and researching, I'm starting to see what he meant. And it's just crucial that we do our research. So my ask is for all of us to just humble ourselves. We do not know it all. And so much, just like the pandemic exposed, we have been indoctrinated on so many of the connections we've made thus far in life. We've been spoon-fed them. We've been socially conditioned. We've been given talking points. And from school, education, religious groups, you name it. And it's important that we start thinking for ourselves. So eat some humble pie. Even just try to see things as though you're seeing them for the first time. Let your heart guide you. Let your gut, your intuition, seek answers from God in prayer. So I want to do this deeper dive, and we cannot be fearful in doing so. Couldn't this possibly lead to the very head of the snake? Couldn't that pose a great opportunity for us to, in fact, rule out corruption at the very source? Once again, my intent is not to demonize anyone. In a sense, I just want to get to the bottom of things, to rule out corruption, to end the needless suffering and everything working against the people in this corrupt two-tiered system we are all sick of living under and being oppressed by. Enough is enough. Let's expose it all. I'm not here to demonize the Jews, and I want to make that crystal clear. I don't care who you are, where you live, what you believe in. If in fact you're causing harm to other people in this life, You're a problem. And that problem needs to be addressed. And that's what everything boils down to. It's clear evil would cause resistance for anyone to get to the bottom of their evil doings. Frick those tactics and suppression and censorship and all that. You kidding me? It's important that we just get to the bottom of it. And that's what's up. But we can no longer continue with being ignorant and uninformed. We must see the reality to the way the world is around us right now, in this very moment in time. All right. Just want to say I appreciate you. I love you. Truly, through unity, I know we can get through this and we can accomplish great things. And I look forward to doing just that. This is insane. So this is breaking news. Israel is guilty of war crimes. UN, war crimes, crimes against humanity, violation against humanitarian and human rights law. This was live in Geneva just a couple days ago. Let's give this a listen.
In relation to Israel's military operations and attacks in Gaza from 7th October, we conclude that Israeli authorities are responsible for war crimes, crimes against humanity, and violations of international humanitarian and human rights law, including extermination, intentionally directing attacks against civilians and civilian objects, murder, or willful killing, using starvation as a method of war, forcible transfer, gender persecution targeting Palestinian men and boys, sexual and gender-based violence amounting to torture, and cruel or inhuman treatment. Israel's total siege of the Gaza Strip has weaponized the provision of life-sustaining necessities for strategic and political gains, including through cutting off supplies of water, food, electricity, fuel, and other essential supplies.
If you didn't listen to the breakdown from Billy, which is an American hero, by the way, served over 24 years in the Navy, still currently serving our country, husband, father, active duty, and yet doing his due diligence, everything he can. Super informed, well educated. He gave us the stats, how many women and children. So as I hear this, and as I viewed a lot of the live stream, as Billy said, it is insane. We are living in a time that genocide is literally being live streamed before our eyes, but so many are just, what is it? Sold some other goods to where they're allowing and accepting this. That's why we got to tear down all ideologies, see things as though we're seeing them for the first time, humble ourselves. Couldn't we possibly be getting things wrong here? I'm just so sick of seeing war and the threat of World War III and all these things. It pisses me off that the masses are going along with propaganda that the rulers are putting out there, clearly to improve their positions, their wealth. They can position themselves on both sides of the field, you know, to where they benefit from war at the blood of our children and other countries' children, where there's no winner except for the rulers at the top orchestrating it all. It's a crazy concept to really grasp. Could it be so corrupt? Even looking back historically, more recent wars that have taken place, when you really do a deep dive, it seems they shouldn't have happened at all. So to think for a second that potentially through humility alone on a mass scale to where we could unite could potentially eliminate any other future wars from ever happening again. It's worth taking some bites of that humble pie.
Including humanitarian assistance. It constitutes collective punishment, disproportionately impacting pregnant women, and persons with disabilities, and is causing grave harm to children, including starvation-related deaths.
Jeez.
We found that the immense numbers of civilian casualties in Gaza and widespread destruction of civilian objects and infrastructure were the inevitable result of an intentional strategy to cause maximum damage, disregarding the legal obligations of distinction, proportionality, and adequate precautions. Israel also forcibly transferred almost the entire population into small enclosures that are unsafe and uninhabitable. The deliberate use of heavy weapons with large destructive capacity in densely populated areas constitutes an intentional and direct attack on the civilian.
I wonder where this is going to lead. It's a good question. Any change? Quite possibly, if we all decide to do our homework. Now, before we get too deep into it, this is the most simplistic and honest response I've heard so far. Give this one a listen.
Elephant in the room here, should Christians defend Israel? With everything that we are watching, with everything that we see on our phones, on the news, should Christians defend Israel? This is just my opinion, and of course for my opinion, we go to the Bible. This is Revelation 3:9. I will make those who are of the synagogue of Satan, who claim to be Jews, though they are not, but are liars. The Israel of the Bible and the state of Israel today are not one and the same. They are not the same. I support the land of Israel, God's Israel, the Israel of the Bible. That is what I support. Wow. I do not support the occupiers of Israel today. It's also worth noting that in history, it's usually the people that you are not allowed to question or criticize that are usually the issue. And I think that we have a major issue in today's society with a certain group that we are not allowed to criticize. And that's always a red flag for me. When the truth should be able to be questioned, right? Yes. So if there's any group of people or any narrative that you cannot question, that's usually a red flag.
I agree with your opinion 100%. I believe that the Israel of the Bible and the Israel of today are absolutely not the same. And I do not fear standing strong and stating also that I do not support the occupiers and the liars and the deceivers as depicted in the Bible. Anything should be allowed to be questioned, even if something's wrong, not just the truth. Once again, anyone on the side pushing for censorship and suppression is going to be on the wrong side of history. Think about it. That in and of itself says it all. Have people lost their touch with reality and discerning? All right. American history, you were never taught. This was very well done. And I believe he touches on some really strong points to help bring light in a way to why things are the way they are. So without further ado, let's dive into this one.
It was all masterfully planned and executed. During the Civil War, the Constitutional Republic abandoned Congress, which forced President Lincoln to issue martial law. At this time, the Republic was taken over by foreign insurgents who replaced it with the United States of America, Inc., in all caps, in 1871. A corporation that had the same name, the United States. What better way to replace it without anyone noticing that they just got turned into a business and commercialized? Now, this corporation was later purchased by the banking powers behind the Fed in 1912. The Fed was created in 1913. Why did this happen? Well, the U.S. was bankrupt. When we sold the United States to foreign banking cartels, if you will, salvage liens were placed on every asset. Check this out, including the people of the new federalized states. Now let's fast forward to 1933. An income tax was placed on the people to pay these foreign bankers who own the IMF, which owns the IRS.
Who are these foreign bankers? That is a very good question to be asking and doing research on. Who exactly?
Look into what the IRS actually is. Who's the IMF owned by? You got to follow the money. Who?
These are also very important questions and research to be done. And it all connects together. You start to see this spider web of corruption and the infrastructure evil has created the whole two-tiered system.
Funds it? It's the same people that own the United States Inc. Same few families, and they're not American. So when I say foreign insurgents,
and they're not American. So when I say foreign insurgents, this is good. I don't mean to be interrupting, but obviously it's important that we absorb this information. It cannot just go in one ear and out the other.
that's what I mean. So 1933, USA Inc. goes bankrupt. An income tax is placed on its people. In other words, you and I were turned into property. Look it up. We were turned into cattle, and we were collateralized in order to turn us, humans, flesh and blood, into a means of paying off a massive debt. But the problem is that while you are technically a person, you've entered into contracts that you're completely unaware of, such as your birth certificate, social security number, etc., that are all saying, I consent to being collateralized. You're living as property, as opposed to living as a blood and flesh natural being. On paper, you are property. You are a corporation right now. You might be hearing this and thinking, we're fucked. We're property? Are you kidding me? And that's true. And property doesn't have rights. But here is both the blessing and the curse. There are multiple of you. Just like there's multiple United States of Americas. Sleight of hand, remember? What hat do they want to wear? There are multiple of you. The insane irony in all of this is the fact that they are actually now liable for all of your alleged obligations, aka debts. That's what a debt means. You can play a wrong move in chess and still win the game. And commerce is chess. Their greatest attempt to set us back actually is their greatest weakness. How can we owe debt if the United States is liable for all of its property? If we're its property, then it's the United States' burden to pay our debt. And that is exactly what the law says. I'm going to leave you guys with two different codes that I highly recommend you look into. First is going to be the House Joint Resolution Act 192. And when that occurred, the dollar was turned into what is called Federal Reserve debt notes. So if we're being asked to pay debts, but all we are given from the system is debt notes, aka fiat money, to pay back those debts, how can we pay a debt with a debt? I just want you to sit with that. They never gave you lawful money. They never gave you gold. They never gave you silver. The other side of it is looking into 18 USC 8, 18 United States Code 8. You're going to come to find out that that's literally telling you that the United States is liable for all debt. All of your debt, the United States is liable for it. How can you pay a debt with debt notes?
Right.
Don't let that go over your head. They already got paid. Whoever's coming after you saying you owe a debt, whatever, they already got paid. Why would you be paying it twice? Common law, a completely different, higher level set of law that comes from God, the creator, is for a natural blood and flesh man. And yet you have been following legal law your entire life.
Wow. It's a lot to absorb there, but very powerful exposure. Just follow the breadcrumbs. I'm telling you, it may seem kind of mind-bending, but it doesn't take any rocket scientist. You continue to do the research, anybody can start to see the bigger picture. Just gets clearer and clearer with time. This is nuts. Former Israel Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs, former Israel Minister of Justice, and former Labor Party spokesman, I don't know how to pronounce his name, admits that Israel terrorist forces killed Jews on 10/7. Now, this may resonate with some of you, it may not, but to me, this feels a lot like Israel's 9/11. It's like the hoax that took place here. And the real reason behind our 9/11 was to give justification. And I don't mean to get too distracted, but to think on it for a second. Could they potentially have staged this and created this? And for what reasons? They've sure gained our support and the blind support of many here. But just like that lady mentioned, biblically, are we really supporting scripture, or are things getting skewed? But apparently this Israel minister slipped up and admitted that they're responsible. You can't make this stuff up, folks. You got to hear it for yourself. It's a little quieter, but I'll try cranking it up for you.
Scarpa, from the security team for Kibbutz Be'eri, telling Haaretz Israeli forces killed Israeli Jews on October the 7th. The IDF called for aerial strikes that killed Israelis.
Okay, maybe it is true, and all the 1,200 people who were killed on the 7th of October were killed by Israelis.
But why is that not on? It's actually in the Israeli press, but it's not in the press in the United States.
I believe that it is 100% right. I mean, are you crazy? Please. I don't want to participate in such a dialogue.
Let's go to Gaza right now. What do you think about Israel's isolation in the internet?
As soon as he realizes, he kind of slips up. He just ends the stream.
National community.
Oh, there he goes.
Well, there the former Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs in the Israeli government, the former Israeli Minister of Justice, the former Israeli Minister of Economics and Planning, the former spokesperson for the Israeli Labour Party, the former Israeli Minister in the Prime Minister's office of Israel, Yossi Be'en.
So what's really going on over there? That's not something to sweep under the rug. Oh, you didn't mean that. What are we doing? Well, let's just continue. Now, we're only playing some of this, but to see all of it is pretty freaking important. Now, it even brings some things up that implicate Trump that makes me wish I could sit down with him and ask some questions, because there could be reasonable explanations. There could be. I mean, yeah, just things we don't know. Obviously, it could be that he's implicated to an extent. Who's to say? But it's a lot of important information, and just know all this information, the links will be in the description of this episode below.
A misnomer is a wrong or inaccurate name or designation. It's a tool often used by swindlers and evildoers to lie and misdirect, as does the State of Israel, its supporters, enablers, and shameful, beholden, bought, bribed, and blackmailed apologists in the U.S. Congress, who has been subverted to abandon the American people and America's interests for the interests of Jews and Israel. You can go to trackapac.com and see the wall of congressional shame of seditious traitors who take or have taken Jewish money to further the interests of Jews in the State of Israel as directed by the mischief makers from the Israel lobby in America. The head of the snake is the American Israel Public Affairs Committee that boasts getting seditious culprits elected in primaries and into Congress to do Israel's bidding. Look here at AIPAC boasting at getting its approved Congress candidates elected. Wow. This is long-standing interference in America's internal affairs for a foreign nation. AIPAC refuses to register with the Department of Justice under the Foreign Agents Registration Act, which would choke off its menace and mischief in America. Yeah. This must urgently happen.
Have you ever wondered how we got to this point where one of the biggest lobbying groups in America can openly brag that they are representing a foreign country? This is from AIPAC's website, but somehow they don't have to register under the FARA Act as someone acting on behalf of a foreign actor. They literally brag about how many millions they spent and about how 98% of their buying of our politicians was successful.
Guys, he's not just making this up. He's going to all the official web pages and showing us all. And so you can go there and verify all this information for yourself. Who are we to sit here and stand on any talking point? That's why it just boggles my mind as to how many can just give true blind allegiance without doing the research. Once again, have we learned nothing?
This election cycle? Did you know that they were actually this close to having to register as a foreign agent before a certain thing happened? Here, I'll show you, and I'll show you where you can find all these primary sources too.
Wow.
So if you go to this URL right here, israellobby.org/AZCDOJ. It's a history of when AIPAC almost had to register as a foreign agent. And back then, they were known as the American Zionist Council. Wow. Right there, the American Zionist Council. Wow. Well, it turns out that President John F. Kennedy was about to force them to register under FARA. And this is a history of all of the original documents that pertain to the legal case. And when you click on any of these links, it'll take you to original archived sources of the actual documents from the actual testimonies that you can read. Even cool little snippets like this that say federal lawyers are near a decision on whether to require the AZC to register as an agent of the Israeli government. And back in June and July of 1963, the federal government was nearing a decision requiring the American Zionist Council registering as an agent of the Israeli government. Americans of whatever faith believe firmly that America is their country and America alone. The Zionist lawyer, Mr. Lenvin, advised that public registration would be injurious to the American Zionist Council. You might notice that the Honorable Donald Rumsfeld was involved, and as 1963 went on, it all heated up. And by October of 1963, they were saying things like forms are enclosed for the use of the American Zionist Council in registering under the Foreign Agents Registration Act. But then what happened in November of 1963?
There's a cover-up that's about to happen here.
The president who was spearheading the whole thing
JFK
just suddenly wasn't there anymore. And to be clear, I would never infer that Israel had anything to do with that whole thing. I'm just saying it was really convenient timing that it happened to turn out that way. And then in December of 1963, we get this document. As you know, our client is not prepared to register as an agent of foreign principal or to concede that it is subject to the registration requirement. December 11th, 1963. And to this day, the single most influential big money group in Democratic electoral politics is not registered as a foreign actor. Although the U.S. Justice Department clearly states that FARA requires the registration of anyone that represents the interests of the foreign principal before any agency or official of the U.S. government.
Unbelievable. Can you grasp just that? And then you look at the actual impacts AIPAC has. It's extremely telling. It's extremely alarming. It's beyond why are we allowing this? What does our government even do for us anymore? I mean, if that's a regulation, but they're not regulating, what are they even doing?
All the rest of that also applies. That's just the most obvious statement. Because if they were registered under FARA, they would have to disclose where all the money's coming from. And
they don't want that.
They don't want to.
Right.
So they just don't. And that's how we wind up with screens like this. And with AIPAC openly bragging on the internet about how they pay to get candidates to win, despite their policies being clearly unpopular with regular people in America.
Right.
And that's why it's so important that we stop China from subverting our democracy by controlling what we see on our social media apps. You feel me?
The seditious Congressman.
We feel you.
Sellouts say nothing and do nothing. Merely criticizing Israel today gets you branded by the Jewish attack dog Anti-Defamation League with the anti-Semite slur to anchor guilt. Wake up to the trick. That's the use of a misnomer. And here is another lie about Israel being a democracy. Watch this.
Often when there is dissent expressed in the United States against policies of the Israeli government, people here are called anti-Semitic. What is your response to that as an Israeli Jew?
Well, it's a trick. We always use it. When from Europe somebody is criticizing Israel, then we bring up the Holocaust. When in this country...
I can't pronounce this lady's name, but she is the former Israel minister.
People are criticizing Israel, then they are anti-Semitic. And the organization is strong and has a lot of money, and the ties between Israel and the American Jewish establishment are very strong, and they are strong in this country. As you know, they have power, which it's okay. They are talented people, and they have power, money, and media, and other things. and their attitude is Israel, my country, right or wrong, the identification. And they are not ready to hear criticism. And it's very easy to blame people who criticize certain acts of the Israeli government as anti-Semitics and to bring up the Holocaust and the suffering of the Jewish people. And that justify everything we do to the Palestinians.
There you go. It's an admission of Jewish tricks they play on us.
You can't make that stuff up, folks. You just can't. It's unbelievable. But it doesn't stop there. Let's continue. This is another one. We'll add it in, and we're not playing the full thing.
These are senators who have taken Jewish lobby money by getting the AIPAC stamp of approval as supporters of Jewish and Israel's interests.
Wow.
We don't have time to show every congressional member as almost all of Congress is implicated.
Almost all of Congress is implicated.
92 out of 100 members in the Senate are deemed AIPAC.
92 out of 100 of the Senate is deemed AIPAC supporters. Their level of influence here, or straight overtaking. I mean, it's crazy. Don't the Jews account for less than 2% of the population? How does 92 out of 100? How does the majority of Congress? How does that happen? You see, now we're getting into the meat and potatoes of it. Because originally, I didn't want to pay any mind to what was taking place over in Israel. I wanted to pay attention on this podcast to what's happening here in America. But as you're starting to see here, it's all intertwined. And it is crucial to connect the dots to see as to how things are being ran, the why, the who is behind it, to, yes, effectively fix things here. Now, as much as I want to definitively say from what I found and what I believe to be true, I kind of want to leave it open-ended because it is important everyone does research for themselves. Let's continue.
Jew and Israel friendly. They are either beholden, bought, bribed, blackmailed, or are ardent, loyal supporters of Israel. Here is Congress giving multiple standing ovations to Israel's Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu.
I want to thank you, Democrats and Republicans, for your common support for Israel, year after year, decade after decade.
Why? Why are they worshiping this man?
No matter on which side of the aisle you sit, you stand with Israel.
That seems like a command, and everyone gets off their seat. Cheerleading.
This Capitol Dome helped build our Iron Dome. My country, Israel, the one and only Jewish state. I know that America stands with Israel. I know that you stand with Israel.
Why? Do many of you or any of you know about the U.S. liberty and what our government has actively done to sweep that under the rug? How many families, servicemen that impacted, and what that caused? More things to dive into. What has Israel truly done for America ever?
That was sickening to watch if you're American. Yeah. A leader of a foreign nation making it evident who controls America. Shame, shame, shame on the cheerleaders you saw in America's own Congress. No wonder Netanyahu says America belongs to Israel and it will do what it's told. Jews and Israel have seized America. Many of the Congress people you saw hold dual American and Israeli citizenship, as are some of the faces here. For time expediency, we won't go into all or each congressional representative where it's a similar story. As you saw, it's sufficient to say Jews have captured the U.S. Congress for Jewish values, interests in Israel, and damn the American people. You can go to trackapac.com to see the conga line of elected congressional culprits whose constituents would be horrified if they knew they have a congressman or woman who are cheerleaders for Israel and Jewish interests. Ask your congressional representative if they're taking Jewish money or signed any AIPAC or Jewish lobby documents or questionnaires of support for Israel. Call, write, or email them and ask. America has fallen, and Israel is the tail wagging the American dog. The blood you see on Biden's hands is the same blood of all those in Congress disloyal to America and loyal to Israel. This betrayal is going to drag America into World War III, and with it, the well-being of every American and their lifestyle of abundance and plenty. Loss of freedoms and increased surveillance will follow, and the Fourth Amendment be damned as government pries into your affairs using contracted third-party proxies of the NSA to circumvent the Fourth Amendment, preventing unlawful search and seizure. Add to this terrorists gravitating to American soil because of the odium America has earned for being an unquestioning handmaiden, financial funder, weapons supplier, and in combat theater an intelligence provider to Israel when it attacks its neighbors. Open borders and white replacement is a sign the American government has no intention of protecting the American homeland from invaders, yet defending Israel is paramount to the political sellouts. The blood from politicians' hands and the blood of Americans will metaphorically flow in the streets when Americans finally say enough is enough and demand Israel be cut loose. The border.
Can we cut them loose before that happens?
Secured and congressional grift and graft must cease. The endless money printing must stop and the borders be secured. Right. Expel every single invader and their progeny, even if born in America. By their very presence in America, they are beneficiaries of a crime against the American people and the Constitution. They must be stripped of any anchor, baby, ill-gotten citizenship and have to go. Every last one of them. This prognostication foretells the inevitable fate for the invaders. The politicians have blood on their hands, and we see it as a result of their unequivocal support of Israel's perpetual crimes against humanity. Get rid of every traitorous and seditious politician and cut Israel loose to meet its fate. Americans don't want World War III. They don't want their children to die for Israel. Enough is enough. This call needs to become a roar by your sharing this message. Do it now.
That's a great call to action. Let's do what we can to get this message out. I'd like to take a second and challenge everyone to push our warriors messages out. The podcast, the chat with John and Scott, they have a combined 3 decades between just the two of them. We owe it to them to get their stories out. They sacrifice so much for us, and they're out there fighting for our freedoms. Don't forget to check out the Forgotten Soldiers podcast. Send out the episode with Chaplain James. He exposes so much, and he's fighting for his life every day. And that's not stopping him from showing up, even as a husband and father himself. What leadership, what strength. And let's get the chat with Billy out as well. Let's send all their messages far and wide. It's so important we do so. Israel is a pariah state. They touch on some pretty powerful points in this. Let's go ahead and give it a listen.
Already exists. It's called the Islamic State of Iran, and the second is being established. It's called the Islamic State of ISIS, Daesh.
Fingerprints all over ISIS. In fact, tell me this: why has ISIS never once, or Al-Nusra Front or Al-Qaeda, not once have they attacked Israel? In fact, ISIS militants are getting medical attention in the Golan Heights and in Israel itself. What does that tell you? Secondly, cut off all funding to Israel. Israel is a pariah state, a criminal state. It is committing active policies of genocide by the legal definition of the word according to Black's Law Dictionary. True. That country needs to be cut off right now.
Just had me expelled from the building because I won't serve Israel. I want to serve my country. I want to serve the United States. I want to serve California.
Good.
I will not bow to a foreign flag. I will not serve a foreign government. Foreign power that has committed terrorist attacks against this country. The USS Liberty in 1967, over 200 casualties all over the 9/11 attacks. This is the flag of a terrorist country. You remember this. If you're a liberal, if you're a right winger, if you are against the genocide going on in Palestine, if you're against United States servicemen dying in wars to expand Israel.
we, the West, the United States in particular, Israel and Britain, are the biggest terrorists on the planet. So our little junior partners in Al-Qaeda, which is nothing more than a CIA database, thus the name Al-Qaeda.
Wow. The staggering cost of Israel to Americans. You gotta check this out. The sheer data. Your jaw will hit the floor as to how much money to Israel. I mean, billions and billions and billions of dollars. What are we doing? You just got to see this data for yourself. This guy does a great job too. I mean, he really blows it out of the water. Unfortunately, nearing the end, his music gets too loud in the background. It becomes hard to hear his words. I really wish that wasn't the case, because he's saying very powerful things. But let's go ahead and play this real quick.
Who can make war with the beast? There are problems everywhere. International war, genocide in Gaza, the end of the First Amendment, censorship, pedophilia, homophilia, LGBT, all of this aggression. Boys being taught that they should be girls. Girls being taught that they're boys. Mass confusion, mass deception, economic crisis. Everything we can imagine that can make a world go awry. The destruction of the family unit, mother, father, child, all being systematically, intentionally annihilated and destroyed.
Intentionally.
Problems. Problems are everywhere. But the question is not, what are the problems? The question is, what is the problem? And the one thing we haven't done is tell the truth about who's behind it. And the truth is that Jews are the problem. First day they picked black people in blackface. And now, today you got whiteface. How do you have the commander-in-chief, the most powerful nation on the planet, senile, can't keep his hand off little children? Who's making these decisions? Black versus white, white versus black, Muslim versus black, Muslim versus white, Christian versus Muslim. Who's doing this? All of us spinning around the circle. Who's doing this? You know the answer. Nobody wants to say it. I'll say it. And I'll say it so that none of us can deny it. And then we can do something about it. Jews are the problem. So they dropped the physical bombs on the people of Gaza. They dropped the internal bomb in the veins of the people, Fauci, COVID-19 in America. Same people.
Not all Jews. We're talking about, from my perspective, the ones hiding behind this shield. They're more so claiming Judaism or what have you is a shield of protection. It's just a whole corrupt system. There's amazing Jews out there, good folks. It's not who we're talking about here.
Same result. Death, bloodshed, genocide. Jews are the problem. We all know that America will protect the Jews from Hamas. The question we have to ask ourselves, who will protect American citizens from the Jews? When the vast majority of the power positions in your executive branch of government is composed of individuals who supposedly make up 2% of the population. 2%. But yet control your banks, control your media, which takes the minds of the people and creates the narratives that drive your society to complete bankruptcy and destruction. You have to consider, has your country actually been overthrown?
Right.
Is this your country anymore? Is this the United States of America?
Is it?
Or are we now living in Western Israel? We look, we say, the Palestinians, what chances do they have? They're surrounded by the IDF on all sides. And we think we pity them. But in America, are we Palestinians? This tiny minority of well-organized people. And the black world, the white world, the Asian world, the Hispanic world, all of us surrounded. The large majority of the world population is surrounded by a tiny fraction. We're organized and prepared to destroy all of us. If we allow this tiny minority of people to destroy all of us at the same time, perhaps we deserve it.
You just said it's really hard to hear. If we allow a tiny minority of the world's population to destroy the world's population, it's like, then basically we deserve it. Yeah.
Who can make war with the beast? Let's talk.
Well, you got to look at this data. And we'll end with this one. Dr. Shiva. Not one bleeping penny to Israel. Cut it off today. We should take all of these war criminals and round them up and put them in military prisons.
The amount of propaganda that people have gotten not to be able to understand Zionism equated to Judaism as though Israel serves the interests of the American people is what they're about. Zionists have taken over the political system, the financial system, Hollywood, the entertainment, all aspects of this. They don't give a damn about a Jewish person being killed or a Palestinian person being killed. Right. I do. I'm the only presidential candidate who does. The solution for this is not one fucking penny to Israel. Cut it all off. Today, we should take all of these war criminals and round them up and put them in military prison. We should probably invade Israel on behalf of the Jews and Palestinians. America has done that in other countries, have we not? We've invaded many countries, but we've always invaded countries on the behalf of dictators. Why don't we, for the first time, invade a fucking country on the behalf of the American people and the Palestinian people and the Jewish people? And the soldiers fighting there would actually be doing a noble deed. By the way, someone just reminded...
I mean, I leave it up to you, my awesome listeners. It's just important that we get to the bottom of things so we can properly address the corruption in this hierarchy. And there's a lot more to connect with the Rothschilds. I mean, Billy was even connecting a lot of that in the West Central Bank system and its engagement with Israel and the royal families. It's wild. But if we take things serious, if we assemble, if we demand transparency and we follow the money, then things won't be left up for assumptions, conspiracies. We genuinely could get to the bottom of all of this. I guess really what it boils down to is what was kind of talked about. Is it going to take World War III and Americans' blood to flow down the streets until then we'll get it? Or is enough of us had enough and we can see it and we're tired of it and we're willing to do our part and unite and seize the moment just right here, right now? I sure hope and pray that's the case. Simply because for me, the pandemic was enough. The genocide being live streamed is more than enough. The connections and infiltrated, like you can't make up the percentages of the individuals that have made it in very powerful positions in this very country. You can't just chalk all that up as happenstance, coincidence. That is enough. The billions of dollars being spent for these other countries' borders and not our own is enough. I mean, there's obviously so many situations we could walk through that it's more than enough. What I really hoped to accomplish was to help make it more clear as to the who's behind things, the infrastructure behind things, but also that we don't just bandwagon basically to our own detriment by their design, intentionally created to divide us more, to confuse us more, to distract us more, to engage us into something that will lead us further away from resolving the actual issues that have been made so blatantly obvious to us all, but just effectively squirrel tactics. I mean, it's just crazy. I forget how Billy put it, but it really resonated with me, and I should have wrote it down. So when I play back his episode, I'll be sure to do just that. But ask yourself, are we, in fact, after even the information we went through right here on this episode, the United States of America? There doesn't seem to be anything united about these states right now. Or are we the divided, conquered, communist, fascist states of Israel? That's a very legitimate question. It's one we should all seek answers on. And clearly, which I believe or not, but if you come to the conclusions we are no longer the United States of America, well, then isn't it time to assemble in the appropriate ways? Isn't it time for action? It's time to do something about it. I know my limitations, and I can't shoulder, no individual could shoulder the world's burdens. It'll crush ya. And with those I'm in communication with that are more so educated and in the know, we often have those chats to balance things out. That's where it's so important to, above all, focus on that relationship with God. The serenity prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. I pray we all abide by that and seek that. He truly will answer that prayer. And we can be effective. Whether we right the ship or not truly does become irrelevant. What's important is that we show up and we do our part. That, my friends, is why we are here. It's not to live out our personal lives when evil has effectively corrupted everything. It will weed itself. Unless you're entirely off the grid, but then it's just a matter of time. They're going to find your homestead. They're going to find a way to tax you. They're going to find a way to plant their poison, quite literally in many different ways, into your community there. When evil's this rampant, as Christians, I feel there's no other choice than basically acquire some righteous anger and start flipping some tables. You got to push back evil at this point. You let me know in the comment section whether or not that vibes with you, or if you think I've lost my marbles. All right. Let's dive into the daily devotional. Let's hope it shines some light on this crazy world we live in and give us a nice direction. Keep me accountable to getting into the Bible each and every day. June 21st. Wait patiently with me while I bless you. Don't rush into my presence with time, consciousness gnawing at your mind. I dwell in timelessness. I am, I was, I will always be. For you, time is protection. You're a frail creature who can hand only 24-hour segments of life. Time can also be a tyrant, ticking away relentlessly in your mind. Learn to master time, or it will be your master. Interesting. Trying to grasp that as I'm reading. I haven't read this one. Though you are a time-bound creature, seek to meet me in timelessness. As you focus on my presence, the demands of time and tasks will diminish. I will bless you and keep you, making my face shine upon you graciously, giving you peace. Man, I gotta think on that one for a bit. Is that pronounced? Micah 7:7, Revelation 1:8, Numbers 6:24 through 26 are the scriptures for the day. We do live in a very blessed time. We can see the spiritual warfare happening. Let's do what we can to protect ourselves, ensure a better tomorrow, and up our quality of health. Because the devil has clearly effectively diminished our state of well-being. That is clear. So with that, let's do a plug to our affiliations like Bond Charge and the infrared sauna blanket to help enhance the detoxification and the natural ways of eradicating all the poisons in our body. The link below, you get 15% off all their products. Be sure to check them out. If you want to enhance the detoxifying. Check out Masterpiece. It's a miracle tincture that eradicates all metals, even forever chemicals. Folks, I don't know about you, but we keep having power outages. Apparently there's solar flares and who knows, right? It's important you get prepared. And I should play the dang commercial I saw even earlier about EMP shield. It was actually very powerful. Don't be left stranded, and minimally get an EMP shield for your vehicle. I couldn't grasp it at first as to how it provided protection for my truck. And this is where seeking understanding and knowledge is so important, because you want to be able to, you don't want to be sold snake oil. I didn't. So when I looked over the Keystone compliance testing and 139 page document to all their testing, I started gaining an understanding as to how it effectively protected our vehicles, our homes, and power systems like solar systems from lightning, electrical surges, solar flares, but all 3 levels of EMP. So they have effectively came up with a system, versus where my mindset was stuck on Faraday cages for EMP protection. Now I understand like a surge protection for EMP. And that's essentially the difference and what it's providing. They're getting tons of orders. So click the link below, get $50 off every single one of their products. More and more of our listeners are jumping over to Patriot Mobile. That's freaking awesome. If you haven't yet, I know it sounds redundant, but truly, what are you waiting for? It's super easy. It could save you money. It could get you better service. And it's the only Christian conservative mobile network there is out there. To fund a company that is out there fighting on behalf of our freedoms and everything it's doing for our veterans and everything, you could check out their page. It's incredible. That alone is worth supporting. The fact there's personal benefits and even a blanket of security and privacy through them, it truly is a no-brainer. Could it be that we're hacked and no longer willing to even take the steps we need to do to fix things around us? Is why not enough of us are even taking that action? I don't know what is more important today, right here, right now, that we could do with our time than stop funding our enemies. Not wait till tomorrow. Obviously, this isn't applying to a lot of you that have done it, and I applaud you, because it's not just this step. I know you're doing what you can in addition. But be sure to check out the Patriot Mobile link below. If you end up calling in, just give them the promo code unmuzzled. It's just unmuzzled, and they will take care of you. They'll waive fees and everything. Today we got our God Made. Check out Gerard's business. Links below. Get your God Made shirt. Embody the stand up now. Check out our other partner, Black Eagle Apparel. Get your unmuzzled chat t-shirt and so many other patriotic shirts. Like, just go find a message that relates to you so you can represent it in your own personal way. It's really awesome to do so. And just that act can have a far greater impact than you know. I get out there, I get compliments. In a way, it just is leading by example, whether you get a compliment or not. People will see that. They'll be more emboldened to stand up for truth and things of that nature. I know I've asked a lot already from the listeners, from each and every one of you. Truth is, I really have been racking my brain, and I've been exhausting myself. And I have felt a bit of burnout to an extent, just fatigue, general fatigue. Constantly racking my brain, trying to market, trying to improve things. Just so much goes into this, especially as a one-man band. It is exhausting. I'm going to have hours in editing and uploading and all these things just as soon as I wrap up here, it doesn't end. It's a lot of work. So I am really heavily banking and relying on you to help grow this platform, to get the message out. And it's all glory to God. I hope you feel that when I say that. Sure, I would love millions of followers and millions of dollars to put back towards making a difference. It isn't about, I'm telling you, truly, it isn't about growing things for personal gain. It's all about growing things to have a positive impact. If you can get on board with that, please help us grow this platform and share this far and wide. Help us make the connections and think outside of the box as to how we can achieve that, how we can market that. If you know individuals and social media folks, whether they got a Twitter account or a TikTok or I guess that was X, I'm new to all these things, folks. Cut me some slack. But I'd be so grateful if you would help with the networking and growing so we can maximize the efforts and energy being put into this, so we can create that momentum we all want to see. I thank you so much for having an open mind and joining and making it this far. Much more awesome episodes to come. Can't wait to see you then. That's enough for today. God bless you. Take care.